Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pints and Politics. As always, we got Drew and Mike coming at you on a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. I'm looking a little extra white than usual.
You need to get some sun.
I, gotta crawl out of the basement. Well, it's the perfect weather to do it. It's Memorial Day this week.
That's right. We're coming out of winter, so everybody's a little bit lighter in
Yeah.
complexion generally. But yeah, the weather's nice and it's a beautiful Memorial Day. Went to the parade in Bertram, Minnesota this morning,
Okay.
and then
How was that?
good crowd, fair amount of people.
Yeah.
And then they had a Trump parade that went from Bertram to one of the local establishments. So it's kind of nice. We'll end up probably working with, I don't know, Rocks and Cows or somebody to get that video out, hopefully next day or two.
Oh, fun.
But yeah, it was kind of cool. They had a couple floats, couple groups.
Did you throw candy at kids?
I did not have candy. I was so ill prepared. I barely even got the truck running in time to go to the parade. So, in all honesty, I mean that's just the way it works sometimes. But
That's
we got our
funny.
beautiful server here, giving us something to drink. Thank you. Yeah,
It is nice out.
but yeah, it is
No, it's
Memorial
funny.
Day.
I have to ask because I think it was either my dad or my grandmother making fun of throwing candy at kids in a parade or something. I don't remember. But Memorial Day, you get the parades and you got a nice. You got to learn them young.
Learn them,
Learn them young.
I don't know. That was kind of the highlight of the summer when I was a kid. You get to go to the parades and get candy because my folks didn't necessarily buy us candy, and it was a good way to celebrate with friends and family and neighbors. It was always fun.
Get you involved in the community a little bit.
That's right.
You're at that base level.
That's right. Come home with a bag of candy and life was good.
That's good. Yeah. So since it's Memorial Day, why do we celebrate Memorial Day?
Now, I posted that on Facebook, and here I was going to be prepared once again because I just posted the poem in Flanders Field, and that's one of those mainstays when it comes to Memorial Day, and it describes the poppies basically, and that's kind of been a common symbol for I think since World War One, quite some time anyways. And that's why when you see the poppies or the veterans selling the poppies and stuff, and that's a memorial. It's to the soldiers and the people that served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice, and this is memorial to them. It's an homage basically to there's no greater sacrifice than giving your life for a brother or someone else.
Yeah.
And that's basically what our soldiers have done for our freedoms here. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the people that have made that sacrifice. So this is a day to remember them.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that it's a poppy because and probably no correlation, but isn't the poppy like with opium the painkiller?
Yes, it is.
So maybe it's an ending of their pain too in a way. If we have some poeticism.
I don't know. I've never delved into it that far.
No, it just hit me right now, so I'm asking. I don't know a whole lot about poppies. I don't really eat them. So
Had just part to do with where after that battle took place in Flanders Field, and that had poppies growing in it.
well, that would make sense.
I believe so. But yeah, I should have done a little bit more research. I should have been better prepared. Typical Mike.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is just something that's that convenient. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but no, it's a beautiful day. It's a very honorable holiday, and it's important that we remember those who fought and died for the freedoms that we enjoy and for just our way of life, because it wouldn't be there if people didn't stand up and defend it.
So it goes back to something we've talked about many times in the podcast, and that's tradition.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I thought you were going to say Rome.
Nope, we're not. There we go.
I'm not going there that
Pull
far.
Rome back into this, but no, tradition. Those parades, that celebration, bringing community together, that is tradition that keeps getting passed on. And so even in a little town like Bertram, with a grand total of one bar and I believe one church.
And one post office.
One post office. So you had probably several hundred people there today celebrating Memorial Day and the flags that were flying, the patriotic message that was done today. It was amazing. It was good to see. And it's one of those traditions that we just need to keep going. We see small towns, kind of contracting and losing population from time to time. But when a little town like Bertram can put this together and make it happen, it's a great tradition, and glad to be part of it.
Speaking of small towns that blow up, I have to mention an even smaller town up in north of here, Leader, Minnesota. Every weekend after Memorial Day and then ending in Labor Day, they have pig races.
Yeah,
Talk about culture. You go down and see some pigs running.
that's an amazing thing, and it draws people from all over the state. And
And it's family friendly too. You can bring your kids.
it is.
Middle of nowhere, town population 7.
They've got a gas station, but no church.
They have a church.
I don't think the
They're a
church is
town.
open anymore.
It's across. I don't know if it's open, but it's there.
Oh, okay. As long as the structure is there.
I'm sure they
Still
meet.
counts.
It's a bar and a church. It's right across the street.
Oh, that's right. It's on the other side of the block.
Yeah, the other side of town, really.
It's a great town, though.
Oh yeah, I go. I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we've been up there several times with the kids. But... yeah. So, Memorial Day. What other topic did we want to touch today?
We had a couple. Since it is Memorial Day, we do honor our veterans and we honor our servicemen like firefighters, police, EMTs, stuff like that. And
Well, specifically, though, Memorial Day is for those soldiers that have died. There are
learning.
there's Armed Forces Day, there's Memorial Day, and then there's Veterans Day. Veterans Day is for the soldiers who have served, are still living.
Okay, and Memorial Day is for those that died.
That's right.
Okay, so that will include cops and firemen because 9/11, we had a lot of firemen lose their lives sifting through the debris.
I guess I've never seen it or heard it.
Or there was something there. John Daly, he was really active in some kind of compensation for people who maybe it was dust inhalation. That could be. But, yeah.
Primarily it's for soldiers, but there was something else that came up, and I just thought about this now. But did you see that Comrade Walls signed a declaration, I believe, making, was it yesterday or today, George Floyd Memorial Day?
Today?
I believe so. It was either yesterday or today.
I'm going to look that up.
I believe it was today.
We're going to get a fact check on this.
Yep, Ethan, fact check it.
Fact check.
There's a declaration. I just don't know the date. I'm pretty sure it was today.
I believe it because, you can't forget George Floyd and all the good he's done for Minnesota, specifically Minneapolis. That we have that whole documentary by Liz Collin about how great that ended up.
I was wondering where you're going to go with that.
Yeah, but
no, even if it was tomorrow or yesterday, rather.
Yeah,
This is Memorial Day weekend.
This is a huge flashback to the Easter fiasco.
That's right.
I'm getting the same kind of vibe. We talked about
Joe Biden made it. Was Joe Biden, wasn't it? Did the LGBTQ day on Easter Sunday.
Yep, and Tim Walz signed onto that too.
He did.
Yep.
I didn't remember that. So now here we've got the same thing happen. This is Memorial Weekend. People come from all over the state, celebrate, remember, veterans visits, go out to the cemetery, plant the flags, everybody. And there's a great group up by Brainerd, Fort Ripley. So to make this day, or even this weekend, George Floyd Memorial Day.
It subtracts from.
I wouldn't say it subtracts. I would say it's a slap in the face to all of our veterans. All of our.
It's both.
Yeah, it's
both. It takes away, and that's why it's a slap in the face.
Well, it sounds just kind of mediocre when we say it takes away from. I think it's an ultimate insult to all the people that have served this country and sacrificed so much compared to George Floyd.
And it is a reoccurring theme that we talk about tradition and we talk about like cultural identity. We've talked about that a couple of times and our heritage with the flag and whatnot. And it just seems like in a way, it is being erased because our holidays are going away. Celebrating other things, our statues are going away, our flags are going away, and we're replacing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not replacing, but we're instigating something new.
There was something. And it's been talked about many times, the star on the flag. And
I know, I've definitely mentioned that to you a couple of times.
Right, that's an 8-sided star.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to it. I looked at it, I've seen on some other flags, national flags across the world, there are 8 pointed stars, I should say, on many of them. But I was at the Capitol and I was looking down in the rotunda, and on the floor in the center of the Capitol
Mm-hmm.
is the brass or bronze star.
Is it 8 or 5?
That's an 8-point star. Oh, when I saw that, I went, okay.
I understand.
Now, if that is just duplicate or replicating that, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because on the wall you have the 5-pointed star all over the walls in the Capitol building. They're all over. It says Latu de Nord.
Okay.
So I guess there is a conflict.
On your flag, it's definitely a 5-pointed star. But in the center of the Capitol, in the floor, is an 8-pointed star.
And then that makes a lot more sense.
If that's what they're, copying.
Well, for one, they're gonna be watching the show, and that's what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
But on the wall, you'll see them on the wall. They have these circle portraits, and it has the 5-pointed star as well. So maybe they just picked one.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Now we have a new research project.
Well, sometimes people read into things, and I don't really care for all the conspiracy theory stuff, but, when I saw that, I thought, okay, if this is where it came from, that's.
That immediately just shuts down one of my criticisms.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So my biggest criticism, I still would like the people to have a vote on it.
Absolutely. We had the flag rally down at the Capitol, had many discussions on this. Representative Bjorn Olson was pushing for popular vote and shot down. If they talk about saving our democracy all the time, and yet this would have been the option. ERA bill was being discussed, and that would be put up to a popular vote for a constitutional amendment. This is a huge change.
Yeah.
Just like the flag was. But not allowing the people to vote on that, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you. And speaking of Congress or state capital stuff, session just ended for leave.
Session did.
And we have to bring up, because I need to ask you about it, the hamburger filibuster thingy. I laughed so hard. The DFL put this together and it was like a comedy. Oh my goodness. It was the funniest thing. I'm kind of upset they didn't have you in the video more. They just put you at the end and at the thumbnail.
I was fine with my part in the video because it was very fitting.
Yeah, well, it was. And it really shows you to be the more level-headed guy.
When I am the level-headed guy out of the group, that's an interesting.
It was so funny because we have the cheeseburger champion of Minnesota. Just found that out.
Congratulations, Dean Erdahl.
Yeah, Dean. That means I'm going to challenge you for the belt here.
Title.
Yeah, is this quality or quantity here? I need to know. I'm coming for you.
No, it was kind of humorous. There's a lot of discussion that goes on in the floor of the House. Sometimes, topics end up morphing into something else. Obviously, burgers got brought up a lot that night. To say, though, that this was filibustered is not really accurate. They said that we talked these bills and we filibustered everything. But what people aren't paying attention to is there's deadlines, right? The deadline is everything's got to be passed Sunday night at 11:59. But if you look at that week's schedule, we came in on session on Monday. We had no session on Tuesday. Came back in Wednesday. No session Thursday.
Really?
And then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you're saying we're filibustering. You were saying we're dragging this on. The Democrats control the schedule. They control the House. They control the Senate. They control the governorship. To say that we
So it's poor planning.
Exactly.
Poor planning.
It was their poor planning. Do not blame this on us because you can't get your stuff together.
Yeah.
And to say that we stopped this, Wednesday is a prime example. Wednesday night, we were talking about a bill, and it came to 11:59 or whatever the time was, and Melissa Hortman basically shut everything down. And you heard the outcry, you heard the people that were yelling then, and that shows, that is absolute proof. They controlled the schedule. They could have shut it down at any time, and they chose to on Wednesday. But the fact that we had no session Tuesday,
Yeah, that's
no session Thursday, and nobody says anything about this.
irresponsible.
Don't blame this on somebody else if you can't get your stuff together. Tax committee is a prime example as well. So in the tax committee, of course, the Democrats, when you have the House bill comes together and they're supposed to meet with the Senate. So Chair Gomez and Chair Rest is in the Senate, Gomez is in the House. They're supposed to get together for a conference committee and talk about these bills and work out the differences in the two, right? So they met and I think it was Tuesday or Thursday. They met at 9 o'clock in the morning, give or take, recessed, came back at 6 o'clock that night, couldn't come to an agreement, ended up at 11 o'clock at night, and Rest calls everybody back in for that committee, gavels in for about 30 seconds, and sends them home.
That's weird.
That is conflict on the Democrat side. They could not come up with working together. They could not work together on their own side to come up with a conference bill. They couldn't come together for a bonding bill. There is such confusion. There is such infighting in the Democrat Party, and they blamed it on us for filibustering when the conflict was all on their side.
Interesting.
Don't blame this on us when you can't get your stuff together.
Oh yeah, because that guy went missing for like 3 hours.
Well, Senator Fatah went missing for, I think, 11 or 12 hours.
Okay.
And he said, if I don't get the Uber Lyft bill, I'm going to take my ball and go home. Okay. But
So-
look at what happened at the beginning of this session. Tim Walz said the biggest priority, and this was a bonding year, so we're supposed to work on roads, bridges, infrastructure. That's the only thing that they need Republicans' votes for. And yet, they couldn't even get that to the House in time in order to get a vote through it in the Senate. They failed.
Yeah, that is a failure.
They failed, and yet they're saying it's the reason that nothing got done is because the Republicans. That is BS.
And while we're on the Senate, we have to bring up Nate Wiesenberg.
Hmm.
What was going on there when he was talking about beaver?
Um,
He was eating beaver. Yeah.
you know all about a trapping bill in the Senate, so
Okay.
you'd have to ask him because if there were some
Yeah.
underlying tones, I'm not sure.
All I know is I saw that on the internet, and the jokes were fire. I mean, I have no problem with it. Like, I definitely would go trapping, get one of them rodents and eat it. I hear they're really good. I know a guy, but just what I know about Wiesenberg, I'm sure he's pretty good at it, getting them.
I'm just gonna
I just-
refrain from any comments at this time.
I'm trying to be appropriate here,
We'll keep it G-rated.
working on it.
Yeah, that was interesting. There was.
So there is a trapping bill going. Did that pass? Do you know?
I don't believe it did. There's a lot of things that did not pass.
Okay.
And the ERA is another prime example, the
Yeah.
Equal Rights Amendment. That bill we discussed a lot. And I had a clip on that too. There's so much ambiguity. It's so vague on how that constitutional amendment is written. And I looked it up. Cornell law says that constitutional amendments sometimes and statutory rules are often written vague because the intention is different than what the bill sounds like.
Yeah, but then you get your judges to do the rulings on how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It gives power to the courts, but maybe a little too much.
The other thing is with that bill, this is one of those issues that the Democrats run on a regular basis. They did not need a majority vote. I mean, the Republicans to vote for that. They could have passed that through the House with their own votes. They could have done it as a standalone bill. They could have run it through the Senate as a standalone bill, and they could have had the governor sign it. If
They could have done that day one.
They could have done it day one.
Because that rally was their day one.
That's right. If they really wanted ERA, they could have done it. And to say that Republicans could have stopped it in any way is a farce. So don't be fooled. They didn't pass it for a reason, and it is entirely on them. So to
Well,
their
it's
own
an election
people,
year. Now they can run on it.
now they can run on it. And then they can run on it for the next 2 or 3 cycles. And they're going to say, gosh darn it, we keep pushing for this ERA bill and we just can't get her across the finish line because it's those darn Republicans. Yes.
And now it's going to come down to messaging. Because, and we were talking about this earlier about messaging specifically. One of the big things in the ERA is abortion, and we can go on for a long time. So I think we
Sure.
should keep it a little quick, and then just kind of reiterate the messaging issue that we have. Whereas instead of just talking about funding Planned Parenthood, we should fund pregnancy centers and support the women financially.
Absolutely.
I would rather my tax dollars go there, even though I don't believe government is a charity. It's a much more noble thing is to bring in life than to remove it.
But if you look at that, that's been done throughout history as well.
Yeah.
You know, when you had a bigger family in most Christian societies, they paid those workers more.
Mm-hmm.
If you had more kids, you ended up getting paid more. Kids are good for a society.
Free labor.
No, it's not free labor. It's future.
It's
growth.
investment.
It's investment in the future. Absolutely. So when you have the opportunity to have children, that's future generations. It's growth in a society. It's good for any group of people. But here we are in the state of Minnesota, trying to use your tax dollars to not have kids. Now, I think we need to do a much better job. There's programs in the state of Minnesota where it was about $3 million that would go to pregnancy resource centers, and the governor and Keith Ellison have actually gone after those entities and got that funding, or trying to get that funding cut, because they say there's fraud in that. Now, we had $250 million in Feeding Our Future that got overlooked for years, but you're worried about $3 million supposedly into pregnancy resource centers with no proof at this time. So no, that's not accurate. We are not doing what we should as a society to support women so that they don't feel like they have no support. 70% of women say they would not have an abortion. It's 70 plus.
If they had the support.
If they had support.
Well, Keith Ellison is an activist. I don't know how many times I've said that to you, but
very much so.
He pretty much told me directly.
It's a good thing you guys are so close.
I know, we met the one time. No, I mean, he does look up to me. He does.
Physically, because he's so
Taller.
short.
Well, he doesn't know me well enough to look up to me in any kind of meaningful way yet.
But no, when going back to the abortion issue, we're not doing what we should as a society support women, and we are also not holding men responsible for their actions.
And you look at a society, like if you go to a tribe out in the jungle, you guys see the men supporting the women, and the men who don't, well, they kind of get ostracized or even bullied a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
it's the responsibility of the men to. Well, there's a prime example. What about that kicker?
Oh yeah, Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
I have to admit I didn't watch that. I saw the clip. Very like, hey, some women are going to do that.
But here he is saying his point of view and just being attacked.
Oh yeah.
For it. But that thought
viciously.
Process, yeah.
I think someone on The View called for his death, or well, I can't say that, but someone on The View like pretty close to calling him human scum.
So he's bringing out viewpoints that even 20, maybe even 30 years ago are not controversial at all. For some reason now he says these same viewpoints, and he's attacked for having them. When we say we want diversity, equity, and inclusion, we really want inclusion when somebody like Harrison Butker brings out his viewpoints and we beat him up for it.
The thing is, it just means their argument is garbage. They don't have they can't beat his argument, so they beat the man. In a way,
so much for diversity.
Yeah.
So much for equity and inclusion.
Yeah.
It's a farce.
It's a farce. It is. It's about power and money.
Most of the politics is.
Yeah. They just want to be able to tell you how to live, what to do, what to think. And then they want you to give them your food.
And there, we've talked about that before, when government replaces religion and structures in society. And
I didn't even bring up religion yet, but you're dead on.
Well, it replaces all of those things, and pretty soon government becomes the controlling interest in our lives, and that's a dangerous situation.
Pharaoh was viewed as a god.
Who?
Pharaoh? Yep, he controlled the tides of the Nile.
Didn't he just live a couple miles from here?
Yeah, we were over there.
Oh,
we were over there.
Different Pharaoh.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about the actual guy with the pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, this kind of thing they would do this. Kim Jong-il is viewed as a god.
Sure.
lead his people to victory and stuff, and
But we've seen this throughout different cultures
all
in
over the
history.
world.
Exactly. Where government becomes the religion of of the
Mhm.
people. It replaces um, true religion.
And the people are worse off for it. You
Absolutely.
see it in communism. They starve, they depression,
Sure.
poor infrastructure. I think China has like they can build a hospital in like 2 days, but it falls apart in five. And that's an exaggeration, but the lifespan of their buildings is not that good.
Yeah. There's a declining civilization right there. And we see this
Mhm.
across the world right now. And I've talked about this many times. When are we going to learn? When are we going to study our history so we don't make the same mistakes? So we talk about this, and Rome comes up all the time.
That's my
Excuse
fault
me.
mostly.
And why does that come up? Because people are instinctively looking at,
One of the most successful civilizations of all time.
right, and they're comparing what we're going through right now to what happened then,
Yeah.
and they're saying something doesn't seem right. And most people, haven't studied history enough, so they're kind of confused and going, "What's going on here?" Going back even a little bit further, I was reading up about he was an Arabic philosopher, heavily influenced Adam Smith and several others. And I'm sure I butcher his name every time I say it. It's Ibn Khaldun, and he wrote about the progression of a society, how it goes from tribalism to culture to high society, high culture, and then bureaucracy, taxation, overregulation takes place, and it crushes the society.
Yeah. Power
And
seems to
he
centralize and then disperse.
and he wrote about that, and he heavily influenced many of the thinkers, the great, thinkers throughout history, European thinkers, and he was Arabic,
Yeah. Well,
and even our founding fathers.
yeah. Well, the who was Saladin? Where is he? Was he Libyan or was he like from Arabia? Anyway, the Great Saladin, like his empire, big. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he pushed for a lot of that kind of thinking. Like, knowledge prospered. They developed the zero in math under his empire. So there's a lot of good technological, philosophical advances that we can find from Arabic,
Hmm.
from that world. It's just we don't study the history. We don't know these
We don't
things.
study the history, and we're making the same mistakes that have been made in the past, and it's a little bit frustrating. And you think, where's this going to end? Do you want to see our society, our world, our culture follow the same path as the destruction of so many of these civilizations?
It's just the rotation of the wheel, almost,
It's just disappointing to think we've come this far and we still haven't learned a lesson.
right?
But I always bring up Paul Harvey when I talk about this too.
Yeah.
Freedom to Change, get a chance, watch it, 10, 12 minutes, explains things so well. And Paul Harvey was a great way, he had a great mind to put things together in a very simple method where people can understand it, common guys like myself.
But no, it's pretty good. Yeah, freedom to change.
Yeah, love me some Paul Harvey.
That's good. Yeah, we'll do a little shorter one today, hopefully.
Good.
But thank you guys so much for watching. Since it's summer, session's over, we'll probably be getting some good content out to you guys. Maybe not all politics, but
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more into the philosophy stuff.
I'm
Maybe a little bit more into the history stuff.
probably going to end up bringing in some guests, I think, this
Oh
summer
yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah, we got a couple good ideas lined up for you. Should be
Maybe
fun.
not always a guest of the same viewpoint, but maybe some of opposing viewpoints
We're
too.
gonna try to get some Democrats. It'll be fun.
It should be interesting.
Well, I think one of the thing that's going to be the most interesting is we have two extremes. We have the extreme on the left and the extreme on the right. Most people aren't the extremes. Most people, so I'm hoping that we can find like a kind of a common ground and be like, hey, we disagree, but we can still be neighbors.
I think we're heading down a road there, a topic that we could probably talk about for another hour.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about extremes on the right or on the left, I don't know that that's quite accurate.
Uh,
Another
No,
topic for another show.
next time.
Another thought I've been thinking about.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. Obviously we have some stuff we're looking forward to. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Drew, Mike, God bless.
Take care.
You're going to hear the Democrats come in here and try to blame us for the way this session ended. They're going to say, oh, they filibustered. Well, the truth is we didn't filibuster.
Whether it's a eighth ounce, a quarter pounder, it's a half pounder, it's a third pounder, a burger just isn't a burger like this anymore, folks.
I like a McDonald's hamburger once in a while, but Wendy's every so often is good.
McDonald's, Burger King,
You've got Burger King, and I like the Junior Whopper, so that's my choice.
Hardee's, one of my childhood favorites.
Culver's is my wife's favorite. It's right on our way home from the cities here. That's her hamburger place of choice.
The burger has been brought up a number of times.
Wendy's, Arby's.
Chili's, Applebee's. Our Princeton Golf Course does a nice job.
And burgers and everything in between. I kind of perked up a little bit earlier with the discussion of hamburgers,
Hamburger.
particularly cheeseburgers.
Wild Buffalo Wings doesn't do a bad job. You got our old Dairy Queen. Fantastic. They got all the other stuff that comes with it as well.
I was known as the cheeseburger champion for Minnesota.
Frontier Steakhouse, which doesn't exist anymore, had wonderful burgers. White Castle, just down the street here, famous for their burgers as well. Mr. Moe's is a favorite of the people around here. I mention all those things because, one, it's getting close to supper time.
So yeah, we've talked a lot about burgers and other stuff.
Hamburger.
The hamburger.
Our hamburger.
Like our burger, the burger,
Hamburger.
burgers and
Hamburger. Or hamburger. Burger night. A hamburger.
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 Burgers and have a burger.
Hamburger.
Hamburger.
Or burger. Hamburgers.
Now, hamburgers, we always think about is just a patty, but the patty you can add on lettuce, you can add on ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce.
Burger. The hamburger. Burger joint. A hamburger. A hamburger.
Onions, onion rings, deep fried onion rings. They're putting eggs on them now. Burger. Burger for a burger that I bacon. I can't get by without mentioning bacon. But hamburgers are not only good for hamburgers.
Hamburger. Hamburger and hamburger.
Hamburger. It's burger. A burger that the burger. That's
The hamburger.
From hamburgers.
Hamburger that, would...
the cheeseburgers at McDonald's.
hamburger can be used in tacos. My wife has tacos on Wednesday. That's her day.
Burgers. Obviously, that's been talked to death tonight. Delicious subject, but talked to death.
Hamburgers. Well, we talked enough about hamburgers. Hot dogs.